Universal design for learning is about more than providing options for learners. The options create multiple pathways into learning and the opportunity for all learners to develop expert learning skills. So, what is an expert learner again? She is purposeful, motivated, resourceful, knowledgeable, strategic, and goal-directed. Let's take a moment to think again about what these mean. Think about what each of us can do to design for expert learning, and then think about how to integrate this into our practice. Finally, we'll wrap up with some reflection on our year of learning UDL and ourselves as expert learners. Expert learners have a suite of skills that we have compared to the members of a learning expedition. Each aspect of expert learning plays its role in this learning journey, but it is a collaboration of all of these that help us reach a new destination. The teacher is the one who creates the conditions, sets the original vision for the goal of the expedition, provides many of the resources, and helps out as needed along the way. In each learning journey, we simultaneously play the role of the sponsor, the provisioner, the bold visionary setting the goal, the designer of the course, the cheerleader, and the rescue team if needed. Along the way, we're always looking for ways to hand off these jobs to our expert learners. First, the purposeful learner is like the steering system for the learning journey. She points the way toward meaningful goals. A journey might begin with the teacher setting goals, but as the learners develop a clearer sense of purpose, they can gradually take over responsibility for envisioning learning goals. What can we do as teachers? Whenever possible, invite learners into the goal-setting process, either making your process public or explicitly asking them to set goals. Also, always be ready to ask, investigate, and when necessary, answer the basic question the purposeful learner is always interested in. Why are we doing this? The motivated learner is like the fire that drives the engine of the learning journey. Once ignited, you can stand back to guide the development of motivated learning. However, without enough fuel, oxygen, or a spark, the fuel won't propel anything. To start the fire, we as teachers have to gather fuel, oxygen, and spark. We have to prepare the environment. Remember some of the key findings about motivation. Relevant shared goals establish purpose and guide learner attention and thinking. Rewards actually diminish intrinsic motivation and stifle creative, flexible thinking. Rewarded behavior only lasts as long as the rewards remain available. Mastery-oriented feedback sustains student effort and persistence. Collaboration and community give authentic, external purpose to student work. The resourceful learner is an adventurer, unafraid of their own ignorance. The line between what she knows and what she doesn't is an exciting place to explore. She charges into each new domain of learning, ready for a challenge and equipped with the tools that work best for her, including a variety of means of representing new information, recording ideas, as well as learning colleagues and mentor teachers. In order to best support the development of these learners, we can provide flexible resources and opportunity to try out these resources and reflection about which are most helpful. The knowledgeable learner is like the navigator with a map. He carefully examines this boundary of his ignorance. He has a thorough map of what he knows and doesn't know. Consequently, he knows just the right questions to ask. Like the snowball rolling down a hill, the more knowledgeable a learner becomes, the more powerful and deeper his learning. To prime the work and development of the knowledgeable learner, we can support learners to track their learning, create concept maps, build a repertoire of metaphors for framing new concepts, and start off new subjects by connecting them back to prior knowledge. Strategic learners are the bold decision makers. They weigh all options and make a decision based on the internal and external resources available. In a learning context, they think carefully about how best to reach the goal. Crucially, we as teachers can support strategic learners by giving them opportunities to take on the decision-making process. This is not all or nothing. We can break down the decision-making process into discrete steps like identifying a goal, gathering information, developing options, deciding, making a plan, assessing success, and setting the next goal. With each learning decision, we can strategically create opportunities for learners to take on decision-making. Finally, the skills of the goal-directed learner, the thoughtful chief of staff, are a culmination of all of the other expert learning skills. Goal-directed learners coordinate all of the other skills toward a goal by managing herself, what she knows, and all of the resources available to her. We can support the development of goal-directed learning by creating opportunities and support for self-assessment, reflection, and personal goal setting. So, how can all the different aspects of expert learning guide our thinking about the strategic use of the UDL guidelines? If, for instance, we're interested in building a sense of purpose and motivation for our learners, we might focus on options for recruiting interest and clarity around goals. We could set out to create a project where learners play a major role in choosing content they want to focus on, designing a room, house, or city as a way to motivate learning about area in math, choosing a writing activity from their daily life, like texting or social media to think about audience, or a genealogy project to think about the history of immigration in the US. This gives us an opportunity to zoom into individual choice, relevance, and value, asking ourselves again, what is my real goal? If we want learners to become more resourceful, we might create a history project or unit focused on multifaceted content where all of the materials, primary sources, first-person accounts on video, historical fiction, multiple textbook accounts of the same events are all available from the beginning with a guide for learners to engage with these. We might end each day with reflection on the tools they used and recommendations to their classmates. The classroom itself might become the repository of new knowledge with glossaries, anchor charts, and shared resources from the teachers and the students adorning the walls. Daily debriefs of new learning could be recorded publicly, allowing students to identify themes. If we want to support learners to become more goal-directed, we might create a regular process in our classrooms to support self-assessment and progress toward a goal each day, building toward learners choosing goals from a menu, and finally setting their own goals. UDL teachers design the learning environment to provide for the growth of expert learners. Like a wildflower gardener who prepares the soil, plans the general layout of their garden, tracks the sun, and welcomes the wildflowers each spring, the UDL teacher prepares every aspect of the learning environment for the development of expert learners. When they arrive, our garden teacher coaches, guides, and nourishes our young expert learners along. Young people can and will become expert learners in the right environment. So can teachers. Let's think a little bit about yourself as an expert learner. What are your greatest areas of strength and challenge, being purposeful, motivated, resourceful, knowledgeable, and goal-directed? In your learning of UDL this year, what aspect of expert learning has been the biggest challenge? Staying motivated, being goal-directed? What have been your triumphs as an expert learner? In learning UDL, when did you notice yourself expressing each of these attributes as an expert learner? What was the learning environment and context that supported you to develop that? Thinking of ourselves as expert learners, taking charge of our professional growth, helps us reimagine our young people as expert learners. Go back to your teacher as a designer reflection from the beginning of this strand and the beginning of this year. How does this compare to your reflection as an expert learner now? How have you developed and changed as a UDL designer this year? Finally, thank you for your engagement with the UDL Ideas and Practice strand this year. Thank you for stretching yourselves to try out new ideas. I hope that each of these modules have tilled the soil and planted a few seeds in the garden of your own expert learning.